For an anime all about being yourself, rebellion, and following your heart through the chaotic journey of an indie band, Girls Band Cry's opening, One World, perfectly reflects his themes, not just in the lyrics but in its composition too. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand the song more deeply but also gain a whole new level of respect for it as we break it down from the top. It opens with a single breath by Nina Iseri, and then just starts blast beating lyrics at supersonic speed, to the point that it pierces your ears. It's so fast that Eminem should fear this girl. Huh, can't be that bad. Okay, Bulon, how can you sing this fast? I have no idea! Also, her vocals are heavily compressed and layered with harmonization. While she blast beats, Subaru's on the right cymbal with accented 16th notes. Rupa lets out big, wide open E strings, then a slight build-up by 4-on-the-floor kicks by the drums and a hi-hat bark pause, where Nina sings a line on her own, with a very subtle addition of distortion or phaser effect. And BAM! The main intro hits. Momoka bends notes in your left ear, while the rhythm guitar lays down chords following Rupa's bass groove. But not just any groove, as it slap on consecutive strings! Powerful and insanely tricky to nail. Meanwhile, Tomo races up and down the keyboard with lightning fast arpeggios. Definitely a prodigy, hitting every note with precision. But the real star, in my opinion, is Subaru's drumming. The intensity is unreal. Syncopated beats, open sloshy hi-hats, and those aggressive 16-note snare rolls. And just smoothly drifts into a time signature change just as the verse kicks in. Okay, as much as I don't want to be your average boring music teacher, I need to explain to the best of my ability what the heck time signatures are so that we will be in the same page for the rest of the song. A time signature is all about how we count the beats in a piece of music. It's written in a fraction, though it's not really one. Let's take the most common time signature there is, using about 96.7% of all music ever created. 4/4. The top number represents how many beats are in a bar, which is a repeating unit of time. And if it's 4, we just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. The bottom number represents what kind of note is a beat. If it's 4, it means a quarter note. So we just say it as it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Still with me? Alright, hang in there. If we try a time signature such as 3/4, we count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, instantly giving a waltz vibe. I found a lover for me, and that, my friends, are time signatures. Going back, the verse starts off with a 6/4 time signature. Subaru plays lightly on a hi-hat with some fills and syncopation. The bass simply sustains the E string, though I love the feel Rupa does that utilizes fast slaps, hammer-ons, and ghost notes, while Momoka lets out open strings with some harmonics and octave chords. Nina sings with a very angsty mood. She's not really singing here, more like talking with full MCR emo-ness. And there's some backing vocals that emphasize certain words. Then Subaru cues with the floor tom and snare to the second part. Here, Nina goes higher on the vocal octave and now her emotion is as if she's crying or screaming. Man, her range is crazy for someone so young! With vocal melodies that are non-conventional, using aggressive syllable work while retaining phrasing clarity. Subaru now plays something more solid with sloshy open hi-hats and using 16-note fills, while the lead guitar riffs and slides using arpeggios while the rhythm lays down one chord. But suddenly, Subaru switches gears to a 3/4 time signature for just one bar before snapping back to the standard 4/4. My brain can't catch up to this! But why the chaos? Well, it's part of the growing trend in anime music to break out of the 4/4 norm. According to Kartar's reaction, these unusual rhythms add intrigue, and one comment even suggested the time signature changes mirror the band trying to control themselves together, just like how they constantly clash in the anime. On a deeper level, it reflects the song's themes of uncertainty, groping, and struggling to find direction. The lyrics capture a sense of being stuck in a cold, unchanging world, with our girls feeling lost and directionless. Yet, they choose to keep moving forward on their own. The recurring, lingering heartbeat can be seen as a symbol of hope, a quiet reminder that even when everything feels hopeless, there's an inner drive pushing you onward. The song acknowledges that we can all be unreliable, even foolish at times. Running away or conforming is always easier, but the song urges us to reach out. It's a wrong world because it feels like nothing changes, like our girls are rejected and don't belong. Yet, nothing can stop them from being themselves and chasing what feels right. In the end, true change doesn't happen magically. It depends on you, and it depends on me. So that sense of directionless rebellion against a conformist world is probably the main reason Subaru takes such rhythmic liberties, breaking away from the conventional 4/4 norm. The pre-chorus enters with offbeat 4/4 kicks sprinkled with hi-hat 16-note fills, and Nina's vocals on a phaser effect. but there's a call and response between her and Tomo, who responds with fast trills and fills. Then a drum build-up that switches to 3/4 with syncopated 16th note snare rolls, with some rims here and there. Alongside, the bass does syncopated grooves with ghost notes, while the guitar joins in with octave chords. And in the very final line, I love the sheer power and control by Rina. As she sings it out, Subaru goes back to 4/4, filling with syncopated snares and rims. Momoka also uses a closing fill. It pauses, except for Subaru, who counts in on the rims of the toms. Then she flames! And boom! We hit the big chorus. Subaru locks into a more understandable drum groove, but at 171 beats per minute, it's still a workout, especially with all the syncopation she sprinkles in. Rupa provides an 8-note root groove, offering a common spot for bassists learning the song. The rhythm guitar sticks to solid chord work, while the lead rips you out, essentially arpeggiating the chord progressions. Toma takes a similar approach on the keys, adding some arpeggio fills for extra flair. Nina's vocals are layered and harmonized, and her melody is strong on 16th notes repetition. But sheesh, this line. Oh my god, those falsettos! They always bring me to tears. But there's more. As the drums use syncopation and even the crashes, we have another blast beat rapping part by Nina. You could even hear her catching breaths almost to the point she might pass out. Hey, yo, Nina, chill! Subaru does a 4/4 kick 16th note snare roll fill, and we hear Nina finally back in full breath, and she continues singing. And then I love the personality she adds to the very last word. Rupa adds a chromatic chord to heighten the tension, and Nina returns with the intro lyrics, marking the post-chorus section. Subaru switches things up with offbeat barking hi-hats as the group continues, until she hits a 16th note snare roll, finishing with a hi-hat bark that pauses the entire band. Nina sings the last line solo, and then the intro kicks in again. If you were paying attention, you'd know Subaru is about to hit a snare roll to suddenly shift the song into 3/4 for verse 2. Nina is back to being angsty on the first half, but there's a variation as Tomo plays high octaves on the keyboard. Also, I noticed that the vacuum vocals are more intimate, like, she's hearing voices in her head, they counsel her, they understand. Subaru plays 8-note close hi-hats, then she barks it to play a note on the right cymbal that rings out for 2 bars. Momoka plays out a sustained sus chord. Then Subaru goes all out with a syncopated kick and crash fill, and we're back with grit just like the second half of verse 1 with the sudden time signature changes. Now we move on into the second pre-chorus, similar to the first but with some added spice. Subaru adds more rims while she does the now familiar 16th note snare rolls. Rupa grooves like before, along with the other instruments. Then there's a crazy final fill driven by Subaru using snare rims and syncopated chaos. This is joined by a big pentatonic fill by Momoka, and Nina prolongs an extremely long note that is non-human to build up to the guitar solo. I noticed that they abruptly cut Momoka's guitar through the mix, like she went FBI, open up! But it actually adds a lot of thickness. Her solo kicks off with an octave chord and a bend. Then she dives into arpeggios, weaving in vocal-like melodies with legato techniques, a wah pedal, and harmonics. She even throws in some triplets, which is such a nice touch. And then there's a part of the solo where Toma tags along playing the same notes. The rest of the band supports her playing similarly to the chorus. Momoka then ends her solo with a vibrato, and we enter arguably the coolest parts of the song. Subaru launches into a multi-bar marching band-style 16th note snare roll, building a large crescendo. Alongside, Tomo fires up blazing past piano shrills that sync perfectly with Subaru's rolls, while Momoka holds an open white chord. Nina sings over this, and when she hits that falsetto line, the whole band explodes into one aggressive fill, snapping back into the main groove. Later on, as we near the outro, Subaru fills up with just 16th note snare rolls and then a build-up with the floor tom and snare and last hi-hat bark. Then a pause. Nina sings a line, and then the outro plays, which at first is similar to the intro. But man, after everything we unpacked from this song, I have to say, this is a terrifying track, especially if you're a drummer. The time signature changes and Subaru's overplaying really steal the show. I hate to admit it, but I'm confident Subaru is leagues ahead of Nijika when it comes to drumming. Think of it this way, Nijika is like your everyday person speaking fluent English with simple vocabulary, like me, while Subaru is an English prodigy dropping the rarest, most complex words you've ever heard. Whoa! She was Subaruing this entire track, and now I'm dying to hear how she plays on other Toki Toki songs. The other standout are Nina's vocals and melodies, so non-conventional, so full of angsty emotion. In the end, after breaking down each instrument's parts, I now have more respect and admiration towards this track. I am utterly speechless that they're able to compose yet alone play this live in person. With so much movement and energy, so much creativity and explosiveness, this song is truly an absolute banger. The final parts of the outro are pure chaos at its peak. Nina and the band traded call and response. I especially love the little details, like Momoka's guitar glitching out during the last pause, even as the song races towards its end. But now, the main chaos happens. It's as if all the instruments smash themselves together in an abrupt implosion, mainly driven by super strumming. She even switches up the time signature for crying out loud! I can't explain it all. You just have to listen for yourselves. But there's build-ups, snare rolls, crashes on every note, fast arpeggio runs, etc. Really cementing the song's themes up to the max. But in the end, they all come together on the final notes, culminating in a snare, hi-hat, and kick hit, while the guitars ring out. And that's the genius of Wrong World. If you enjoyed this breakdown, then maybe you should check out me ranking every single song from Girls Band Cry. But what if you haven't watched the anime yet? Well, may I introduce you to this video? Shout out to the channel members for their endless support, and to you the viewer for watching this video till the end. Okay, off we go! Woo!